We've got Chancellor Angela Merkel, who's going to come into Washington this week. And Germany does things a little bit differently and in some ways more successfully than we do. Certainly lately they do. And one of the things they do is that they actually care about their workers. I don't know if a lot of people know this, and that's why I wanted to present this. Labor actually sits on the board of the companies in Germany and helps to make corporate decisions. I know here in America, they're like, what? Workers actually having power? That is unacceptable. They will drive all the corporations into the ground, those greedy workers. Well, it turns out they don't. And by the way, they also help to pick the CEO. Oh, people here would go nuts over that, right? Now, David Leonhardt actually wrote a very good article about this in the New York Times, and he brought us some of the numbers. So you make a decision for yourself after you see the numbers on whether it works. For example, since 1985, hourly pay in Germany has gone up 30%. Here in the United States, it's only gone up 6%. I like 30% better than 6%. Well, if the pay is going up, well, unemployment must be a disaster for them, right? Not really. Here we have 9.1% unemployment. In Germany, they have 6.1% unemployment, so they're also doing better on that count. How about the top 1% of all earners? Well, we got to give it to the United States there because our rich are mega rich, so they take a much bigger portion of the pie. In 1970, actually, we were all close to tied. Top 1% had 11% of the money in Germany. In the United States, it was 9%. Actually, we were a more equitable society back in 1970 than Germany was. But today, Germany stayed at 11%, and the United States shot up to 20%. So the top 1% takes so much more of the money here in the United States. One of the other things that Germany did, though, to be fair, is that they also made some cuts, and they made some adjustments, okay? So one of the things that they cut was unemployment. The duration and the extent of unemployment. Another thing that they cut was they reduced the incentives to retire early. But you have to understand the context in which they did that. First of all, unemployment for some age groups was as high as 32 months unemployment benefits. So you have to understand their benefits they get in Germany are so much better than what we have here. So they scaled that back to some degree, and I think that makes sense. I think when we did welfare reform here, I thought it made sense. So should we be willing to make some cuts to get rid of our deficit? I think so. But they need to be a little bit more equitable. So when Germany went to go make those adjustments for their austerity program, they actually had a very good ratio. They did 60% in spending cuts and 40% in tax increases. Okay, now, even our so-called progressive president is saying that when we go to do austerity measures, we will be doing 3 times as many spending cuts as tax increases. To me, that makes no sense. And that's the beginning of the conversation. The Republicans say 0% tax increases because the rich have to get richer. Well, you know what? They said it was going to trickle down. They said it was going to work for everybody. It didn't. We have over 9% unemployment, and the German model looks better and better every single day.